All right, welcome guys to part 2 of how did we get to be homeschoolers. And I talked to you a little bit about what had happened with the school in a nutshell. And I'm happy to look back 2 years. I can say I am thrilled that the way it happened, because I never have to question whether or not I did the right thing by pulling him out. It happened the way it happened, and I did everything that I could possibly do to keep him in school, and it didn't work. And he is so much better off now than he was in the time that he went to school. So, homeschooling. When it happened, I was stressed right out. That month and a half was difficult and tough and stressful, and I really didn't understand how all these good people, including ourselves, were not able to make this work. And then it was trying to get my head around how on God's green earth was I going to be able to do this, because I was a C/D average student. I did what I needed to graduate, and I didn't go to college for a degree in anything, including art, for other reasons that I'll get into later if it comes up. But it was one of those things where, I didn't go to school for 6 years to become a teacher. So what makes me think that I am capable of doing that, especially when I did stupid math? I did not do the smart math. I didn't do, Darian has this whole thing about gravity and science, and I'm like, how do I think that I'm going to be capable of doing this? Fast forward a little bit to, even just like taking care of a child with special needs. I have no schooling experience in how to do that. I am absolutely a proud mom of a child with a disability, but I am not a teacher or a therapist or whatever, and I had to accept that those roles were now mine. Panic is the best way to put it. There was a lot of prayers and soul searching and going, why is this happening? Good news is that I started talking to people and research. You get to a point where you're just like, okay, I need to do this, so I need to come up with a plan of action. And so a huge shout out to my friend Lynette, who made it a little bit more accessible, told me about the homeschool associations. I think I'm saying that wrong, but the people who essentially make sure that the government is happy with what you're doing. She got me into that world and said, okay, look into these people, look into these ones. And I ended up going with somebody else, but she kind of opened that world, and it wasn't like 20 names coming at me. The other thing I found was she showed me a lot of curriculum. So things that I had no idea. Also told me about doing parent-led or following the school system or the school division curriculum, and gave me kind of the ability to go, okay, I don't actually have to follow it. The issue for me though was I didn't want to. If Darian, because of how smart he was proving to be, at least my belief in that, I didn't want to end up making his chances worse because I had homeschooled him. I didn't want him, if he wanted to go to college or university, I didn't want to be the barrier that stopped that from happening because I went awry. So for the first little bit, I was really concentrating on what does the school require, what does the school require. And then as I went looking into it, I'm like, oh my goodness, what they require is exactly the things that I hated about school. Learning things that I knew I wasn't. I'm never going to use, ever. I am never going to use trigonometry, ever. Ever. I am not an engineer, and I'm never going to use it. Or I actually enjoyed Shakespeare and I actually enjoyed algebra, but it wasn't, some of the other things I didn't enjoy, and it was, never explained to me why some of this was important. Tale of Two Cities. Interesting book, but oh my goodness, wordy, drove me insane. So things like that where you just go, I didn't think that I could do science and math. And then when I was thrusted into the homeschool world, I was watching videos on theoretical physics because my son is a big science kid, and I was like, I just need to start getting this stuff into my brain and pushing out the anxiety of the school thing happening. And I'm like, I actually understand this. I can actually comprehend this, and was shocked and surprised because it was made interesting instead of reading a textbook and having to memorize names and dates and what they did and having no context with which to apply it to my daily life. So I started going down the route of parent-led education. And so some of the things that I chose were things that if my girls ended up going to homeschool, I would actually have a curriculum that everybody could use. So for history, for instance, I really gravitated towards the story of the world. I think that's exactly how it's called. But it starts from the earliest that we know, and then moving forward, just world history. And so there was a whole bunch of things that, we ended up doing to figure out what's going on and how I can take care of Darian, but also thinking ahead if I needed to teach the girls and wanting it to make sense and mean something to them. And I'm so thankful that I did that because, it's that program specifically has coloring pages and map work and projects in which they build things like, making tablets where they write a word on it and then you bake it in the oven and it's still here, it's still alive. And really wanting it to be something that made sense for him. Now, as far as treating his autism, which is a part of it, is I had mentioned in an earlier video, Autism Treatment Center of America. And I had that name as soon as I got my school board. And I didn't have the wherewithal to even deal at that point. It was more just treading water and making sure that I survived. And it was a little bit later where in his grade 4 year that I really looked into the Sunrise program, and because it's a home-based autism treatment, I was able to actually really get into it and really look into it and see what it is. So I will talk about the Sunrise program next, but just to give you a simple overview, is essentially what I liked about the program is that it's incredibly logical and loving. You love your child where he is right now. And I think that that's a really important thing because whether you understand it or not, you have these, not these expectations, but these dreams for your kids. This is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to be like. This is what we're going to do together. If you have a boy, we're going to play ball, and we're going to throw a ball around, and I'm going to teach him how to play catch and ride a bicycle, and we're going to do all of these things. And when you have a child with autism, some of those things get scaled back, and you're in this weird process of mourning instead of trying to get to know that child as he is right now, the things that he loves, and find joy in that, and then use the motivations that he has, the things that he likes, like Titanic or getting tickled and whatever, and using those to teach them the skills of how to talk. So he wants a piggyback ride. It's how do you say that? Do you have any ideas of how you could ask me that? Let's think. And then if they don't, you go, oh, I know, we could do this. And through that, Darian's language has expanded, and his ability to try and communicate and eye contact and all of those things that I will explain in Sunrise program is the things that has actually made a huge difference, and he is doing awesome and doing more things than he has ever done before. So I'm super pumped, super excited. But that's in a very quick nutshell how my homeschool has gone for the last 2 years. And like I said, I will share more detail as time goes on. I hope you enjoyed this section of our story, and have a wonderful day and enjoy your summer. All right, I'll talk to you later.